Tonight, Inside the Huddle, it's time to dig into the draft. Draft predictions, prognostications, the flat-out opinions. It's coming out tonight. Let's talk the top 5 QBs, the top 5 running backs. Let's go to the corners. We want to look at who the guys think is their top 5s. Contract extension for Derek Carr. Is the pay too much? We're going to talk about it tonight. NFL Free Agency 2021. What a year it's been to remember. We're going to talk about it again tonight. And remembering Dwayne Haskins, his career and life, we honor it tonight. It's all on Inside the Huddle. It's week number 7, and it all starts right now. Welcome in, everybody. It's Inside the Huddle. It's another great week of talking football. Tonight, my co-broadcasters are going to be something special. It's the time of the draft, and I brought in 2 guys that know exactly what they're talking about. Dole Whip Dad is on assignment. He is in South Jamaica somewhere on assignment, digging into what's going on with Lamar. Yes, that's your Dole Whip Dad impression. And Myers and the Mouse is on location in sunny Orlando. He is lost in the parks, looking for NFL players for us as well. Guys, I'm glad you could be here. At the top of the charts, you guys know him as the arms of YouTube. JSA Creation Zone, Joey D, in-house with us. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
How you doing, Pete? Dave, it's good to be here. I'm so happy to be back.
Glad you could be back. I know you're going to bring a lot to the show. Brandy and Dave's own Dave is here. We tried to get Brandy. She was too pricey. We had to accept for Dave, and he's going to do his best Dole Whip Dad impression all night long. That's his goal. There you go. So,
I'll do it. Trust me. I need to. I'll just talk about the Dodgers incessantly, and make hot takes that don't make any sense.
There you go.
Which I do anyway. So it's kind of like.
It's kind of like right there. Gene Fitzmagic will be in halfway through to do his audible at some point when he comes in. He has said he's free tonight, and I said, well, why don't you stay for the second half of the show whenever you come in? He said, I'm down with that, so that'll be kind of good. Our third guest of the night, we're going to start without him because, frankly, I just couldn't hold on. He got stuck in a little bit of traffic. We have to get rolling with the show. This is how the show's going to look, everybody. If you're brand new to us, finding us for the first time, it's going to be the Huddle Vision on the left. I'll be up top. Dave will be right below me. Joey D will be right in the center above Joey. That red question mark will be our special guest of the night when he comes in. That will be Corey of Living in Diz. And down the bottom, you see it each week. It's the logo for the man of magic himself. That's Gene Fitzmagic. Say a quick hello to Chris Dye, to Jeannie, 525, Movie Mania Nick, Andrew Ford, welcome in. And T. Marie's Place is also in the building tonight. So let's get rolling on the topics. I know that we won't have Corey in here with us. He'll be in here a little bit later. You see his picture there, his team. As soon as he gets in, we'll get rolling with him. Join the Discord. We do have a Discord. Yeah, I know, right? We do have a Discord available. Also, it's a community chat forum. We welcome you to come over there and talk sports, talk Disney, talk it all with us as we go through. So let's get into the news, and we're going to get started here, guys. We will first highlight and talk about Dwayne Haskins, obviously drafted out of the OHIOU state, played out there. Dave, I know that was he competed against yours and mine. I am also a Penn State fan. He competed against Penn State and did a very good job for Ohio State out there, and then he went on to have an NFL career. Probably not as strong as everybody would have liked, but nonetheless, an NFL performer. Seemed like a nice kid. Let's first go down to Dave. Just, your thoughts, obviously, when you heard what happened here recently.
I mean, tragic, right? I mean, it's terrible for anything like this to happen. Especially completely accidental with an automobile accident. Not cool at all. And yes, Dwayne Haskins was the enemy for a good 3.5 years. It was the beginning of an NFL career that I was excited to see what he might do in Pittsburgh. And had with everything going on at the quarterback position there, with Mitchell 3-14 Steelers, Trubisky, Kyle, I just lost my girlfriend Rudolph and my job, and Haskins coming in. I thought it was going to make for a very interesting preseason. I thought it was going to make for. I know they brought Trubisky in, but I thought we were going to see Haskins, or Dwayne, I guess we should say at this point, play some ball this year. And it's anytime something like this happens for anyone's team, two things come to mind. One, it's absolutely tragic. It's terrible. And two, as much crap and on the field hatred as we give for people, none of this matters when someone's life is lost.
Absolutely.
So it's sobering in that regard.
It's tough.
Best wishes, condolences, whatever you want to say to the family. I mean, it's you go from being on a high that you're with an NFL team to not being around anymore, and that's just it's sad. So.
It just stinks. It's well said, David. Joey D, come out to you. Dwayne Haskins, obviously tough news to lose anyone's life, but a football player who had still a lot of promise and opportunity to be found out, and it didn't work out. Your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, to echo Dave, right away, it's absolutely tragic. I mean, it's just terrible. It's such a young age and stuff, but and again, I have, me personally, the question is like, man, what, you always wonder, because there hasn't been a lot of info as much as I've dug to see what he was even doing out there. I don't, again, we may never know. I don't know, and obviously it shouldn't matter, but man, being on the highways like that, especially on the turnpikes down here in South Florida, and it's just, man, especially that kind of vehicle, like it's terrible. My heart goes out to the family. He's such a young guy, and yeah, he was a really likable guy. It wasn't like, you had no problems off the field. He was a consummate professional. He had he really was a great college player. Yeah. Obviously that didn't quite translate over to the NFL yet. Could it have done it? Yeah, maybe. I don't know if the environment he came into was great, but being with the Steelers, I think that, what were we going to say, Dave?
No, I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead. I was just going to echo.
Oh, I was just going to say, being with the Steelers, I think he would have benefited much more so. And, I mean, you can't deny his talent. So in the NFL, it's always, everybody in the NFL is talented, even all the way down to the practice squad players. So you figure sometimes it takes being with that right coach. Sometimes it clicks after a couple of years. They kind of pick it up or something like that. But, regardless of any of the NFL or football stuff, it's tragic to see this type of stuff at such a young age and such a good person. It's sad, man. It's hard to fathom that. And even, you see some of his teammates that were with him, I guess at that time, you see the emotion with them. I can't even imagine what they're going through.
Absolutely. Corey's coming in at the perfect time right here. Corey, we just started first topic. We're talking about Haskins and the effort that he made. Let's talk about that to you.
Well, Haskins, I don't know what you guys have said previously. Obviously, it's just a really, really sad situation, just tragic. Um,
Trust and power.
career-wise, though, hello. Career-wise, though, I didn't really follow his college career, so actually, I think I forgot to kind of look that up to speak on that. But pro-wise, he never really got going. Had some difficult times in Washington. Washington let him go. Like he did have a little controversy with not following COVID protocol a couple times. But there are some that thought that maybe he had a chance there in Pittsburgh where they don't quite have a solid starter. So, but all in all, he doesn't get a chance to follow through with proving himself there with Pittsburgh, and it's just a sad situation.
It is tough. Well, on behalf of everybody here at our show, and I include all of our co-broadcasters that we have and everybody that does, we wish his family, Godspeed in everything that you have to do with. It's always tough when you lose a life, and I'm sure Gene will comment on this when he stops in here in just a little bit with us as well, because I know obviously it's just a tough thing to do. All right, let's go to topic 2, everybody. Who you taking overall number 1? This is what I'm posing to the guys tonight on the dais. You can drop it in the chat as well. Hey, Chris Dye, welcome in. Let's talk about who you think you're going to take at the number 1. I've seen multiple things go around for players. Obviously, Hutchinson looks like it might be the number 1 guy that everybody wants to look to. I'm not sure. But I'm just curious as we go, what do you think it is? Who would be, if you're taking number 1 right now today, and the number 1 team, we all know who it is, who's drafted number 1, because they're the worst in the league. Who's the best player to take? Who's the best player on the board? Doesn't matter if, we're not thinking about, San Fran Joey or Pittsburgh David or the Patriots Corey. We're just thinking about who is the best player in your mind in the draft from what you've seen. We'll start and go, since Corey's in now, we'll go Corey, Joey, Dave on this one. Welcome in, Gator Country. So let's start up there with Corey. Who you taking number 1 for yourself? Sammy D, welcome in as well.
I gave that a lot of thought last night, and what I would say is I think what's more important than grabbing a Hutchinson is for Jacksonville is to address the offensive line. You need to protect your guy and keep him upright. Obviously when the quarterback has time, he's going to do some damage, and they've got a guy that they need to protect, which they didn't protect last year. So I just think whoever, I don't have a specific name at offensive tackle, but or on the line to protect him, but I think they need to address that. It'd be nice to have Hutchinson on that line to bolster that defense, but I think the offensive line is more important for them.
Okay. Joey, who would be your number 1 pick? If you're saying this guy, in my opinion, is the best player in the draft, that's who I'm taking. No needs, no nothing. Who you taking?
Well, yeah. I mean, Hutchinson is probably be your number 1. I mean, obviously, edge rushers are really hard to find, especially the special ones. He had a really good career. I think it was like 14 sacks over his career, causing fumbles, runner-up in the Heisman, which you have not seen since, I think, Woodson, as far as a defender. So
yeah, that's
a big deal. But the problem is, Jacksonville, you're talking about offensive line problems. You're protecting your franchise prize quarterback, who, by the way, was sacked like 32 times last year, which is
Ben
probably an issue. So
Roethlisberger?
for me, yeah, I think Evan Neal for offensive tackle would be that pick.
Ooh, that's a good call.
If I'm going with that. So you want that edge rusher, but you kind of need to do offensive line, offensive tackle, obviously, and Evan Neal would be the one.
Neal's got great feet. He's got quick feet. He's a big body. Takes up a lot of room. I didn't see him as well against the run much, but I didn't dig into it as well. But again, you're just trying to maintain and take up room. That's a good thing when you're there. David, what do you think? Number 1 overall pick. Who would you go with?
I mean, Joey D and I are on the same page. I was going to say Evan Neal. You have the Alabama pedigree. Offensive line being shored up in Jacksonville is important. I know that if you look historically, a lot of times these early OL picks really, really spark something with these teams that are bottom third in the league, right? Like it's
Right.
the beginning of a run. You can go back to the Orlando Pace pick
Ooh.
pre St. Louis making a Super Bowl run, right? Like these are the cornerstones that you build something around, and you got 3 fantastic offensive linemen that are going to go in the top 10 with Neil Ekwonu and Cross, right? So you got I don't know who's better because I don't know who has bigger hands if we go by the Pickett rationale. But by the way, that's going to be a thing. I want to see ESPN for future years just be like, all right, this is the Pickett measurement. It's whether or not he has big hands, and that's where we're going to draft people. But I think Evan Neal's, if you start in Alabama and play, you're obviously good. So I always look at that pedigree, and you can see that throughout the NFL right now. So
Okay, great point.
I'm with you, Joey D.
Gator Country says it's a passing league. You need those bookend offensive tackles. That's perfectly said. Kind of what generally all the guys said on the dais tonight. I
mean, for real though, Hutchinson's just as important. I just don't think he's important for Jacksonville. You're talking about it's a passing league. You need edge rushers, and like, no offense, there's no other edge rusher. Maybe Thibodeau, but there's no other edge rusher in the top 10 that's going to do what Hutchinson can do. So it's a tough choice.
I've seen Thibodeau drop down to as low as 6 on some things recently, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'll be interested to see. Movie Mania Nick, welcome in as well with us. All right, let's take topic number 2 of Joey D. Go first on this one. Then David, then Corey will be the play on this one. This is an interesting topic. I saw this. You guys were talking investments before the show as we were sitting backstage. This is a perfect tie-in. If you could buy stock in one sports team right now, if they were to sell public stock in a sports team, which would you choose? It could be from any of the major sports, anywhere along the line. Joey D., I'll throw it over to you. Where are you buying?
Well, and obviously this is going to be a business decision because otherwise it would just tear up my heart here. So being a Niner fan, I got quite a few enemy teams, as they would say. But and if I'm buying stock as a business person looking into this, to me, it's got to be the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason being, not only being one of the highest valued sports teams, I know, trust me, I threw up a little in my mouth just saying that. But you're talking, I mean, they grew, it was like over almost 10% from 2020 to 2021. So that's what I'm looking for, rate on return. So when it comes to these teams that are already high value, but you still have that kind of growth, yeah, that's probably going to be my pick. And yes, as much as it would probably throw up in my mouth from it, it's still just a business decision. And that's pretty much where I'd go.
Okay, I'll go with you on it. David, let's go down to you. Who are you buying and selling on cryptocurrency? If you're buying an NFL football team to invest in, a hockey team, a baseball team, what is going to be the team you go after?
All right, so I like to look at investments as high risk, high reward. I feel like I could pull an Elon Musk and buy a small portion of the Pirates and then leverage out nutting and tell him to go hang out in Nemacolin and bring actual real baseball back to Pittsburgh. And I think I could get that pennies on the dollar. That's kind of my joke, but like for real, if you could do that, that'd be fantastic.
I love it.
It would be an NBA franchise. I am not huge. I'm not a huge NBA fan in general. Growing up, didn't really have a team. Kind of Celtics fan. There's nothing in Pittsburgh, right? Just wasn't. But if you look at from a sports organization, the number one growth currently is the NBA, and it will continue to be that way. And I honestly think the NBA is going to outpace the NFL sooner rather than later. And I don't know. It makes me throw open my mouth to say the Sixers. a lot because Philadelphia is Philadelphia. But if I could throw a third thought process or third thought in this vein out there, it would be not necessarily a team, but I would pull the Barstool Sports model and start investing in an absolute boatload of NCAA athletes.
Oh, that's a great call out. I'll
At this
allow
point.
that. I'll allow that. I love that call out right there. That's
I think that is the, and this is a really bad analogy. It is the NFT / cryptocurrency of sports right now. It is the wild west. We don't know what's going to come out of it. I'm super pumped that these kids that are building a brand not only for themselves on social media, are being taken advantage of, or not taken advantage of by the universities that were locking that down, and it's no longer locked down. And it could get real interesting by 2027.
That'll
So
be interesting. I like the call out. Living in Diz, Corey, where are you going? Where's your money going to be invested in? What team out there?
Well, it's really easy to say, being from Boston, that the Red Sox would be really great. There's a lot of throwing up in the mouths tonight.
yeah,
That the Red Sox would be the way to go, especially if I piggyback that with talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how they're still growing in stock. It's crazy. It's crazy from what they were bought at with Jerry Jones in the beginning to where they are now.
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't looked at the Red Sox model, but I would imagine the Red Sox would be in the same boat. The stadium is smaller, but they sell out every game. It's a playoff atmosphere there, every single game. But I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to buy low, not as low as last year, but I'll buy low and I'll go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh.
Because of the future they have there. Look at the future. You've got 2 stud wide receivers. You've got Joe Burrow. I think that team has a chance to do some things for quite some time. So maybe you make some good money in 5 to 7 years, and then maybe you sell, but you see what happens. So I'm going to go with the Bengals.
I like it.
I like the blue chip talk on the front end with Boston, but I think it was the wrong Boston franchise.
No. Love the Red Sox. Don't go there.
I'm fine with that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If you look at it, sports is an industry, and then what would be the blue chips inside of that? I think that you're like, baseball's a dying sport. Let's just be honest. It's not entertaining. By the way, all right, I'm taking a complete aside on this one. Have you guys seen the Savannah? Have you guys seen the Savannah Banana TikToks yet?
No.
So the Savannah Bananas is a baseball franchise in Savannah, and they have created their own rules. They are like the Harlem Globetrotters of minor league baseball. It is a summer college league, if I understand it correctly. They are blowing up social media right now. They will, in the middle of a pitch, do a TikTok dance and then drop that on TikTok. And they play a team every single week. They're the only team that's ever played in kilts. It is bringing entertainment back to baseball. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Ryan Rowe knows what I'm talking about. It is extremely entertaining.
I love it. Okay. Mo Faki, welcome in. Thank you, Mo, for coming in. I don't know, if it was me, I'd be saying, okay, I'd want to leverage my money and keep it to where it could be still have time to grow, but is going to hold its own. And I, again, like one of the teams up there right now, and that's the Buffalo Bills right now. I think there's a ton of opportunity up there with where that franchise going. New stadium coming. I think the new stadium would give a lift in the average price of every stock piece of how they do it. But I thought it was kind of neat when I saw that. As it went through. All right.
It's an interesting question, for sure.
I thought it was something different to talk about. Let's get into the draft here again this week. As we dig in, let's talk about top 5 running backs. We'll go back to Corey as the top as our guest tonight. We'll go Corey, Joey, and Dave. Obviously, Breece Hall. I've watched this kid at Iowa State. He's one of the top in the draft. he'll be one of the top in the NFL when he gets in there if he runs with the aggression and the quickness and the read of the openings that he did in college. He ran like a beast for what I don't consider to be one of the best lines in all of college football with Iowa State. They were okay, nothing spectacular, but there's some other good running backs out there. So I threw it at you guys and said, hey, come to the table tonight with some of your top running backs, your top 3 to 5. Doesn't have to be top 5. Top 3 to 5 doesn't have to be in any order. Corey, we'll start with you. Who are you thinking about as your top running backs in the draft in 2 weeks?
Top running backs I got is Isaiah Spiller, Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State, and
Yes.
Breece Hall. Do you want them in
Sure.
ranking? You want me to rank them?
Give me a little bit on what you got on it. Just a quick moment of what you got on it.
I have some notes. Looked at some film. I got Isaiah Spiller at number 3, but I feel like this top 3, you could make an argument for any of them to be the number 1 prospect. With Spiller, some of his strengths, he's a versatile back who can both run and catch out of the backfield. He's a good route runner, soft hands, ideal position size for the position. Good pass blocker, great vision to the running lanes.
Okay.
Patient, decisive runner, can run strong downhill, able to run through tackles, get yards after contact, which is important to me when evaluating. And he has good burst. And his weaknesses, he doesn't have that many. He lacks top end speed, but I think he can make up for that for all the other strengths. And sometimes he hesitates behind the line, but I think he could arguably be the number 1 guy when it all shakes out. I have Kenneth Walker at number 2.
Okay, before you go to Walker real quick, I want to welcome in. It was wrong. Welcome in. Good to see you back at the channel. And Gator Country, we're not saying one of these players is going to go the top 1 or 2 picks in the draft. We're just saying when running backs start going, who are going to be the top couple picks. We're going to do the same with quarterback, the same with corners as well. We're not saying, hey, somebody's going to go top 1 or 2. We know that most running back, your point, Gator Country, well taken. Absolutely. Go ahead, Corey. Talk about Walker. I liked him this year, transferring from Georgia Tech over to Michigan State this year.
Yeah, he's kind of a beast. I think he can break some tackles, take on defenders, and he possesses the size and the running traits to be a full-time back, a 3-down back, which to me is really important when you're picking your top 5 running backs.
Okay.
I think that's something that you have to have, and he shows a lot of good change of direction, and he also cuts across the field really well. I watched some film last night where he's off to the right side and sees what he has in front of him, and just cuts directly across the field and beats the defense to the other side. And
I think one of his best traits is the way he reads holes and reads opportunity, and his patience also, to your point. That's a great point. His patience for reading that hole and taking it. And you got Breece Hall there. You're thinking he's number 1 out of the backs coming out of Iowa State there.
I do. I think he's capable of being an every down back as well. He has exceptional hands. Elite acceleration and burst. Let's see, what do you run a 4.3? We're at 4.39 in the combine. Great vision. He's really elusive as well. Can really cut on a dime. He has a good frame, good build. And the thing is, I know you said that his line wasn't great, but he had the opportunity to run through a lot of holes. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously we know if he has a really good line to run through, we see where he can have the potential to be the best back in the class. But if he has a line that struggles a little bit, you may see him struggle a little bit as well. And I just had a few of his weaknesses being he could improve in pass protection. So to me, that's a big one too, because that is what can stop you from being a 3-down back. Yeah. Good point. 3rd down, you have passing situations. You don't want that kind of guy off the field. So
absolutely.
But scouting feels like he could improve. So I got him there, but I wouldn't be surprised if any of those other 2 guys could take that number 1 spot.
Okay. Joey D, where do you have what you're looking at, your top 3 to 5 that you're thinking about? Same order as Corey? Are you looking around? What do you got?
Well, all these names are pretty much the same. I think Breece Hall to me would be the number 1, and then be Kenneth Walker and then Spiller. At least that's how I'm looking at it. But Hall at 217 running, a 4.3, which is just ridiculous. And same production in his career at 41 TDs, over 3,000 yards. Like, he's highly productive. He, to me, has got to be, number one. And even at 5'11", he's a pretty solid big back, but that can move at that speed. You don't see that often. And the Kenneth Walker, same thing. He breaks a lot of tackles, quick change of direction. Same thing with him. He's a 4.3 runner. And, he's 211, a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, 5'9", but he's got that speed, even though he runs with more power than I think people talk about, at least regarding him. And then Spiller, a little bit taller at 6 foot, 217. The thing with him is that he produced in all 3 seasons. So what you really want now, now the thing is, I wouldn't say he's a top end guy, but he does have good burst. And the biggest thing is that he's also one of the youngest players coming out of this year's draft. And when you have a player that can produce and does it on a consistent basis, which is what you want in the NFL, your best ability is your availability. You kind of look for that. Now, sometimes you'll get kind of a diamond in the rough where you had Frank Gore, who had 2 major knee surgeries coming out of UM, and then goes in the NFL and doesn't have a knee problem his entire career, which was insane. But for the most part, you got a player that played all 3 seasons, produced in every single one of them. So he might even be, to me, it'll be between Walker and Spiller for 2 and 3, I think. And, Spiller maybe, but it does depend on the team's needs and stuff. Because as we spoke, this isn't about who's being drafted in what order. It's just the team needs when it comes to running backs. And running backs' values can be argued all day long regarding, how high they go. They usually go second round because, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen, but there's just so many athletes that some kind of come out of nowhere. There's always going to be somebody that comes out of nowhere, 6th round, 5th round, that's going to produce more than even some of these guys. So, but that's my order. Breece Hall, Walker, and Spiller.
Love it. Dave, what are you looking at? You got those 3. You got somebody different. What are you thinking as you sit up there? Penn State's a big running college. You guys know your running backs.
So I like Dalvin Cook 2.0 is my number 3. Georgia pedigree, SEC guy.
Good call.
And dude, genetics matter. I mean, kid runs what for? It's slower, so like just over 4.4.
Yeah.
But you're playing in the SEC. You've been in that. You're in the what do people call it? The NFL light. I don't know. Heck, a lot of really good players come out of it. I like it as kind of a pivot off of what these guys are saying with Spiller at 3. I put Breece at 2. And only because I didn't watch him play much, and I really don't necessarily trust running backs coming out of a second-tier division with Iowa State. And all I got to say, and I said this before last time we talked through the top 5 early on, Pete. My guy, and I hate to say this as a Penn State fan, Kenneth Walker is like Lev Bell 2.0. Coming out of Michigan State, only hopefully he's not crazy. As a Steelers fan, I am very well aware of Le'Veon Bell and his craziness. But dude absolutely torched a Michigan defense that has some of the best. Two round 1 picks? Are both the edge rushers going round 1?
I thought they are scheduled about
probably.
Yeah.
This kid torched them. Quick to the hole. Great top end speed.
Runs
again,
with attitude.
Yeah, he does, and he's got that Lev Bell feeling, right? So that's where I'm at on it. And frankly, again, like Joey said, it depends on what the needs are of that team at that point and who they feel has bigger hands.
Right.
So that's where I'm at, but I really like Walker.
I love it. Great feedback from all of you. Dave pulling out a 4th name there as well, which could mix in that mix. Great feedback, great details from all of our days here tonight. Before I go to the 5th topic here, which is a good one, we're getting ready to talk about top cornerbacks and Sauce Johnson, or whatever his name is. Sauce. I just like the guy name. Everybody's name is Sauce. We're going to talk about Sauce in a minute. But here's the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, You see that Kelly and Jeff are off tonight on assignment. Top of the line. My moderators could drop in their links, please. Corey of Living in Diz will talk about his channel and what he does towards the end of the stream. He goes live from the parks consistently. He's a diehard Patriots fan, knows his football, does very, very well in our fantasy football league. So I tip my hat to him there for kicking my butt in fantasy all the time. Joey D is in house. He's a 49er fan. He and his beautiful bride, they own JSA Creations, and they are Disney lovers like myself, and they do some of the best ears around you ever find. You want to see somebody's good, really quality Instagram, go over and check Sammy out, what she's doing over with JSA Creations. Everybody, we'll talk more with Joey about that towards the end over here. And then Dave of Brandy and Dave, he is one half of an incredible team over here on YouTube. They also have their own shop selling ladies attire that is for all ladies, and one that my wife, yes, BJack's Boutique, my wife absolutely loves it. Please make sure JSA Creations is in there, BJack's Boutique, Brandy and Dave. I tell you to drop in Joey's YouTube. I can't find him. He's hidden. He's like an alias on there. We're going to change that eventually. I'm going to get him working a little bit on that.
I'll
YouTube.
get it updated.
And Living in Diz, of course, a good friends here. And, of course, Gene will be coming at some point to yell at us, which is always a fun part of the show, part that I always enjoy. So give my friends some love here as they're working hard tonight, bringing you some topics. Let's go up here. It's Sauce. It's time to talk about corner. Sauce Gardner. This kid is something special. I've had a chance to watch him for Cincinnati. In my mind, he's my number one, but I'll be curious to see about yours. We'll go Joey, Corey, Dave on this one. It's Sauce and everybody else in my mind. Joey, do you see it that way? Who you got top 3 to 5 up there for your corners? And I think corners are going to go earlier in the draft this year. I think it's going to be a defensive draft. What say you?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. First of all, corners are very hard to come by, especially the good ones. Usually you got a handful of them, and then everybody else is average. And then you hope that you pop a diamond in the rough later. But yeah, Ahmad Gardner, a.k.a. Sauce, would probably be my number one coming out. Running 4.4, which is perfectly fine for corners.
Right.
Good change of direction, agility, especially for being as tall as he is. He's going to be your solid pick for the first one to go out. That's me. Next one I got is Derek Stingley from LSU.
Yes.
6 foot, 190. I would like to see him add a little bit a weight, especially. But I will tell you, though, the problem with him, well, he had a great season in 2019, had like 6 INTs that year as a freshman, which is insane. He did suffer an injury, which, of course, he didn't have it. He didn't bounce back quite as good. So you got to give him a little chance. But the talent's there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had that kind of freshman year. So I think that he's definitely still top 3. Even with that, a team will probably take a chance on him. And Trent McDuffie from Washington at 5'11", 193, which is an average size, but he's extremely aggressive and physical and run support. So again, what type of defensive coach are you running, and what kind of scheme are you running? Because a lot of teams want those corners to come up and make those tackles, depending on what you're running. If you're in Seattle, that type of stuff. He's also really good at his one-on-one tackle, so he really limits the yak yards, which is very important because you really don't want a lot of guys missing those tackles, especially on the perimeters and stuff like that. He's probably best in zone coverage. This is from the notes I got. Can play slot, could probably even play safety, maybe come up for run support and stuff like that. So the only knock is he really only had 2 INTs coming out of college, but INTs aren't the only measure. I know he had like 10 passes defensed. So he has the intangibles. Yeah, he has the intangibles to me. So that's what I'm looking at. Gardner, Stingley, and McDuffie.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. That's some great names to come out. I'll see if it'll match up to Living in Diz. Corey, what are you thinking on some of these corners that are coming out? Who's going to make an impact?
Well, I think he dipped into the same notes as me because I totally agree with all 3. So can't really add too much more, but the obvious is that Sauce is, if he doesn't go first, then I don't know. Teams are smoking something. You got a large corner like that with long speed. You can't beat that.
Does he go top 10, Corey?
What's
Does
that?
Sauce go top 10?
I think he does. I think he does. I don't know who to go to, but I think he might.
The
David?
projection I'm looking at has him going at all 3 projections on CBS right now. Mock drafts have him going number 7 overall to New York.
To New York. Man, I would hate that.
Look at that. And as far as Stingley goes, when you got a guy that you can throw on an island and cover one-on-one, you got to put a guy like that at number 2. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before I go down to David and get his synopsis here, I love it. Corey and Joey matching up. That means the details are probably right in the soup, and the soup's going to taste good. We want to welcome in. It's me, David T, and Old Man Burger coming in as
Gary!
Well. David, how is it fixing up for you? Is it all matching up?
All right, sauce all on me. I'm all on it. Dude's a beast. He's a freak. Stingley, I agree with. Yada yada yada. I'm not going to rehash what they're saying. Those will be the top 2. I was looking. They're both projected top 15, which makes sense, right? The only other one I'll throw out there, because the Washington kids are good. Booth out of Clemson's solid, but and this is going early season, but the Auburn Penn State game with McCreary against Dotson was one hell of a matchup. I remember sitting in this chair watching that, and I know we talked about this the last time I was on, Pete. The only thing holding him back are his hands. They're only 9 inches. They're not 9.675. I've never seen so much news in the draft surrounded around hand size as it has been this year. And maybe it's just the Pickett coming out of Pittsburgh, right? Somehow his hands grew between pre-combine and post-combine. But any rate, McCreary's another name to watch. Might be a steal later in the draft. Reasonable size, 5'11", 190. I always look at weight going into the NFL as kind of that's what you are now. We have people that will make you the exact weight that we want you to be. It doesn't matter whether you're going up or down. We're gonna just press that number into a dial, and that's what you're gonna be.
It'll be interesting. I think he's gonna sell a ton of jerseys.
I think you're gonna see him go to someone who needs that number 1 corner, and he's not gonna be a name that in 2022, 2023, but I think 2024 you're gonna be like, where'd this kid come from? And he's gonna shut some stuff down. So
I like it all. I think they're all great points and all the way around. Like I was just saying, I think that this kid is going to sell a ton of jerseys just because of the name Sauce. People are going to go crazy. They'll be all over wanting him to be. Oh, Lord.
No.
Cut off.
Molly.
Okay.
Move 20.
Omaha!
Omaha, the audible's being called. It's Gene Fitzmagic coming in. Obviously, he's fired up. He's heard enough about Sauce Gardner and wants to talk about his topic tonight. Gene, welcome in. What's your audible you're calling first?
Well, first, let me say hello to Dave, Joey, and Corey, and of course you, Pete. All this talk about Aiden Hutchinson as the number 1 guy. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, is he really the number 1 pick? Do you guys really want to go defensive end number 1 overall?
We talked.
I mean, he could be the Nick. He's the Nick Bosa of this draft.
Let me ask you this. I guess that's a great audible to call. So I'll go around and say this. Throwing out what Gene threw out there. He's been the top player listed all. Is he the best player in the draft? Joey, we'll go to you, then Corey, then Dave. Is he the best player in the draft?
Yes. He's and that just like I mentioned, he is the Nick Bosa of this draft. So, and again, I mentioned this early in the show. Edge rushers are a rare breed. You can get a lot of edge rushers, but the ones that are really good and special, far and few between. The way they can shift their hips, dip the shoulder, the way they can get around that edge, and sometimes just make really good players look silly. They're very hard to find. So when they're there, you have to take them because they don't come around often. Which is why it's which is why it's going to be a tough pick for Jags, because they really need offensive line to help to protect their prized quarterback. But sometimes if you're looking at it and you're thinking maybe you can find somebody who's a good tackle but maybe not elite, you get an elite pass rusher right out the gate. because he'll instantly make your defense better. So.
Okay. Corey, I'll go up to you. Hutchinson's dad played in the NFL. He's a legacy. It's in the blood. Is he the best in the entire league right now, the entire draft?
Yeah, I'd have to piggyback on that and agree with that as well. And when you're debating whether you should take him or not because he's, the Nick Bosa of the draft, if you're Jacksonville, you only do that if you feel like you can get enough maybe in the next couple rounds where you can kind of solidify that line enough even to hold place for a little bit and look for that stud lineman in the next draft and just worry about that then, as long as you can protect your prized possession in your young quarterback. Yeah, maybe you do. And if I can tell you this, if Hutchinson doesn't get taken by Jacksonville, he will be gone in Detroit at number 2.
Good point. David, not best in the draft, Hutchinson?
It might be best in the draft. He's not going to go first overall.
Okay.
I would assume, again, probably wrong, but I would assume that Jacksonville is smart enough to actually grab an offensive lineman out the gate.
Right.
Right. Because of their needs. Now, again, I don't know. When's Jacksonville's second pick?
We're going to talk about that later in the draft, but I think it's like mid-teens.
Is it?
Mid-teens to 20, somewhere in there. Well, I'll have it. I'm
looking right
second
now.
Pick, they have the first pick in the second round, 33.
33, okay.
So it's 33. Yeah. They don't have a second first-round pick is what I'm saying.
Oh, it does not.
I don't see it. I don't see it. No. Right. So I don't know if I know offensive line is deep this round or this draft. So maybe they grab him, but I would think they would go with that. And I honestly don't think Hutchinson goes past round or second overall, just in general.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I couldn't find any stats on his hand size. But what I did find when I searched that really quickly was that his wingspan is an issue and that they shouldn't be concerned with his 32 3/4 inch reach as it being small because he's better than that.
Okay. I'll take it. I'll take it. Gene, before you give us all your hot takes, tell me your thoughts on Hutchinson.
Well, you know what? Piggybacking off of the wingspan, you know what? A lot of people thought Melvin Ingram wasn't going to be that great of a pro because of his wingspan. He turned out to have a pretty good career. So that's not what really worries me about Hutchinson. My take on Hutchinson at number 1 is, think about how many times a defensive end was picked number 1 and actually really panned out to be a star. I mean, we have some good ones. Mario Williams, solid career. Jadeveon Clowney, solid career. But I mean, they weren't like those stars that you thought they would be coming out picked number 1. We all remember, I mean, Dave, you're a Penn guy. We all remember Courtney Brown by the Cleveland Browns years ago as the number 1 guy who was out of the league.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Yep. So I get scared to pick a defensive end number 1 overall because more likely than not, they never really pan out. I mean, the only two that really come to mind is Bruce Smith in 85 and then Bubba Smith. And Hutchinson, unfortunately, doesn't have the last name of Smith for it to work in that same field. I think Hutchinson's going to be good. I don't think he's going to be the stud. I think the stud, and you can't pick him number 1 overall, so I get that. But I think the stud of this draft, and I think at the end of the draft, at the 10, 20 years down the line, we're going to look back at this draft and say Sauce Gardner was the main guy in this draft. He was the Hall of Famer in this draft. I really believe he's the guy. And I would love my Jets to get number 4, but he's the guy. I think he's going to be amazing.
I love that. Let's talk about your hot takes from some of the stuff on the show before we hit your question of the night, your trivia.
Breece Hall, man, to me, he's Jonathan Taylor. No hand sizes, no wingspans. But I love Breece Hall. He is my number 1 guy too. I think he's depending on need, you might see him sneak out of the first round, late in the first round. I think he reminds me very much of Jonathan Taylor. I love him. Also, if I'm Jacksonville, I go Neal. Neal's got quick feet. He can play all over the line. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He's the guy. And if I'm picking a team to throw my money into, who I'm investing to, I'm investing into Liverpool soccer. $4.1 billion they're worth right now.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
165% growth over the next 5 years is the estimated growth. 165%, and they're already worth $4.1 billion. I will take Liverpool Liverpool soccer every day of the week.
Hey, can I piggyback off that real quick? Did you guys see? And we were talking NFTs slightly prior to this. There's a group of people that have created an NFT and actually bought a lowest league. What's the third league below Premier? I can't think of it right now.
I don't know because I don't know much about soccer.
No, so anyway, they bought a third tier league or third tier league team, and they're selling it as an NFT. You can buy in. You can actually own an NFT that you will own part of a soccer team. I'm sorry, a proper football team in Britain that has a chance to move up into the Premier League. And you're a part owner, and you can vote depending on how much of a stake you've purchased via NFT. It is the first crowd-funded professional sports team in the world. Keep her out. I have to remember who it is now.
I still say somewhere down the road that's going to be a lot more of that happening, but that's me. All right, let's go back to the trivia question. Gene, I'm sure your trivia question always evolves around your topic. What do you got tonight?
And it does this week too. So we all have, Aiden Hutchinson is the projected number one pick. Whether we all think he's going to end up there or not, he is the projected one. He's been there for a while. So I ask this: who was he's a Wolverine, a Michigan Wolverine? Who was the last Michigan Wolverine to be picked number one overall?
Charles Woodson.
Well, let's go in order. So it'll be Dave, Corey, and Joey. Dave's answer is I think Dave's already out there on the board. Obviously,
yeah, Charles Woodson.
Dave's going with Charles Woodson, and I will tell you, unfortunately, that is not it. I didn't have my sound thing together. I should have been ready knowing Gene was here. Gene came in a little bit earlier than usual, which is fine. We love having him here for doing his topics that he does. So let me just pull it up here and get my sound bite ready so that I'm ready for the rest of the guys. So, David, unfortunately, let's go up to Corey. Who was the last Michigan player drafted number one?
Wow, last Michigan player drafted.
Welcome in, JD Prig, while you're here. Appreciate you being here.
Man, I have no idea.
Okay.
I just have to say I have no idea. I don't have a guess.
Forget when you don't know. Let's go up to Joey D. Do you know?
Listen, Ryan Rowe. Tom Brady was a sixth rounder.
Adams, that's about the only thing I could think of. I think that was his name. Jamar Adams.
Who is it?
Adams?
Nope, that's not going to be it. Gene, let's give him a hint. I'm thinking we could say he's a lineman of some sort, right? Maybe? Can we go with that?
That's a good hint.
He played on the line at some point. David, you have an idea? If the chat gets it first, we'll give it to the chat.
No, because I hate Michigan, so I know like 4 players.
Yeah.
So
you're out. Corey, you have an idea?
I have no idea.
Joey D, one more time.
I got nothing.
You got nothing? All right, I'm going to give him an easy
I got nothing.
Here's the easy hint. Ready? His dad is a Hall of Famer.
Well,
Peyton Manning.
Nope.
Nope. I think we get that wrong, actually. Who?
No.
Go.
I said Jake Long.
I knew what you said.
Jake Long. That's right.
Yes. Yeah. But actually, no relation to Howie Long, actually.
I should have known that, actually. I should have known that.
Jake Long, tackle.
The first time.
Miami Dolphins.
So
it's interesting. I would have thought it would be somebody different than that. I was surprised it wasn't Dave's first answer, but it is what it is.
Woodson was a good guess. I thought Woodson was a good guess.
I would have guessed Woodson. So
I would have guessed Woodson too when I first heard it.
I believe he was 4. I believe he was 4th, if I remember correctly.
Was he 4?
Yep.
I believe he was 4 overall.
Yeah.
That year he was drafted.
4.
Might
just a reminder to everybody, at the end of the show, we will do a lightning round where you can ask questions to everybody on the dais. So please have your questions ready for the end of the show. Get them ready. Make a list of them. Excuse me. It'll be rapid fire when we do it. Rapid fire when we do it. Let's go up. Topic number 6. We'll talk about top quarterbacks. There's a quarterback comparison of Kenny Pickett with Ryan Tannehill. That's going around a lot of ways around. I'm going to make Dave go last on this one.
That's a
just because
crap comparison.
he usually goes off when the name Pickett comes up. He usually wants to pick it. So in this order for this one, we'll go Corey, Joey, Gene, and Dave. Just we'll keep, since we got 4 of us in here now, keep your answers to the point and quick. We don't want to go long-winded and be on until 11 o'clock at night, and we want to finish out the show. So let's go up top, quarterbacks. Looking at your top 3. Is Pickett in your top 3? And if not, who is? Corey, you're up.
Pickett is in my top 3. I looked at film for several of these guys. I really love Sam Howell. But after reading some details on him and the scouting reports, I did drop him down to number 3. But I actually think Sam Howell, my comparison to him, and no one else has said this, and I've read like some Russell Wilson, which is great, some Baker Mayfield, some Sam Darnold. I see Josh Allen in him.
Really?
I do. I think the way he plays his game, the way he runs, the way he scrambles, he looks quick up the middle on film to me. So that's why I bumped him up as high as 3.
Okay, love it.
I do like him. Malik Willis, is he the second coming of Lamar Jackson? Maybe not, but I see a lot of Lamar Jackson with him. Really like his game. Excited to see where he ends up in the NFL because I think he'll be electric. So he's at number 2 for me, and I did settle on Pickett for the number 1 spot.
Okay, love it. Top 3 there. Okay, Joey D, you're up. Top 3. Where are you thinking?
Unfortunately for this year's draft, the QB selection's pretty weak compared to years past, so it's kind of
it is
ho-hum, I guess, to me. It is. Yeah, Pickett to me is probably going to be number 1. I mean, you're talking about an established 4-year starter. He has ACC record for TDs and stuff. He's got good mobility, can throw on the move, so he's probably your number 1 because I would say he's the safest pick. But Malik Willis, he has the highest ceiling in my opinion. His issues are generally when you see this type of stuff, very dynamic runner, elite speed, all that stuff. Inconsistency and accuracy, which is a big problem in the NFL. It can be fixed, but sometimes it's not. So the highest ceiling, but you're taking a chance that it may never come around. So that might be a kind of you're taking a chance to put him there at number 2. And then Matt Corral from Mississippi, who's not huge. He's like 212 at 6'2". He's really good at ball placement, which is a big deal. Only threw 5 picks, has decent arm strength, not elite, but still really quick release. So that's what you're looking for. You want quick release. Ball placement is extremely important, i.e. Tom Brady. And I'm not saying he's as good as Tom Brady. I'm just saying ball placement without having the biggest arm in the world or any of that. Yeah, extremely impressive. And he's really elusive in the pocket, which is another one. He's got that feel. You got that feel that you need. So that's where I'm at. But Pickett's my number 1.
Okay, I like it. The guys are kind of matching up. Gene, are you agreeing with them? Are you on board?
A little bit. I my number 1 guy is also Pickett. He's got good leadership skills. I think he's got it. Let me start by saying this though first. I don't think any of these guys are gonna be studs. I really don't think so. But I think out of this group, I think he's gonna be the best. Sam Howell, I do like. He's accurate. Strong arm, can actually run. I didn't even realize it when I was looking him up earlier. He actually had 11 rushing touchdowns, which it just caught me by surprise. I didn't realize he did. So that was very impressive to me. Malik Willis, you can fix accuracy issues. Look at Josh Allen. I mean, that Josh Allen had accuracy issues coming out of college as well, and now he's a pretty accurate quarterback. But I do have a sleeper pick that I would say is 4th, but I really think if there's any of them that could really make that next leap, I love Carson Strong from Nevada.
Really?
I think he's going to be a guy that's not going to get picked early. None of these guys will, but even as far as quarterbacks. But there's something about Carson Strong. He's got that great arm strength. He reminds me of Josh Allen as well, the way he plays. I could see him being a sleeper pick that maybe comes in and takes the league by storm, not unexpectedly.
I like to call out. I had him in my 3rd round is where I was looking. I watched him play a couple times this year for Nevada, and he impressed me with his accuracy and his arm strength. My question was mobility a little bit, just a hair. Sometimes he tries to do a little more than I think he should, but we'll see. That's a great call out. I love that. Dave, what are you thinking with the QBs? And welcome into Anthony the Muller Man as well.
All right, I'm going to use the same joke I used last time, is that at the top there are 2 quarterbacks. One that plays in a league where there is no competition, and then there's the kid from Liberty. So Pickett obviously won overall. His hands are small. That's fine. Malik Willis again. I mean, you guys have said it ad hoc, ad nauseum, whatever you want to say. I think the dude who is being overlooked is another, and I'm not a fan of the state, Ohio boy, but us Pittsburgh fans know how Ohio boys can do this. Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. I said for
Ooh.
2 years straight, how in the absolute ever-loving heck is this team continuing to win? And then I watch this kid throw the ball on a dime. Dude's good.
Yeah, he is.
He needs work, but he is it's Cincinnati again. And I was not a Cincinnati defender. I asked how the hell they were in the top 5 for 2 years straight. But I will tell you this. Ritter's going to fall. He's going to fall late, and it's going to be a Tom Brady-esque situation. He may never be that good, but the kid's going to start somewhere down the road.
I love that call out. That is a fantastic. 2 great sleeper picks by Gene and Dave. That's why I love the dais when we pull it together. We get really solid top 3 information from Joey and Corey, and then we get some sleepers pulled out by the guys at the end. That's what makes this show fun to talk about here. This next topic just happened literally right before the show, and I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on, here's the deal. Sammy Watkins came out of college. He was incredible. He was at Clemson, did all his stuff, and then he goes out into the NFL. And honestly, I don't think he's lived up to the hype. Nowhere that he's been. Didn't do it previously before coming to the Ravens. Didn't do it coming to the Ravens at all. I don't think he's going to do it in Green Bay. That's my opinion. I'm going to go bottom to top on this one. I'm going to let Dave start this one. Go Dave, Gene, Sam, and Corey. Or Dave, Gene, Joey, and Corey. And give me your thoughts. Does he do anything for Green Bay at all here, David?
Clemson redemption, baby. You drop him in to, I don't know, a second or third receiving position with the best quarterback in the NFL. I think we're going to be okay. He played reasonably well. He had flashes of brilliance, at least statistically, in Kansas City. And he's going to another spot where what's he have to lose? I don't know if he's lost a step. I can't tell you. I haven't been into the whole game statistically as much as I have been in the past.
Right.
But Baltimore, and no offense, Pete, has been perennially the place where wide receivers go to die. And he's got new life going to a place where a quarterback that actually throws the ball is going to be targeting him probably 5 to 7 times a game. Especially now that they lost what's his face.
Okay.
Adams, right? Adams left? Right, yeah.
Devontae Adams, yeah.
So I don't see him being a number 1. I don't see him being that guy that if you're a fantasy fan trying to grab a couple rounds early, but he's a dude who you grab late as a 4th or 5th wide receiver who can statistically add to your team, and I think will do things in spurts in Green Bay as he did in Kansas City.
Love it. Okay, Gene, your thought?
You know what? I don't think I think he's going to be good there. I feel like he's maybe a younger version of Randall Cobb. I really thought the place where would have been perfect for him would maybe be New England. You put him into the slot and let him be that new Edelman kind of guy, that new Wes Welker kind of guy. I don't think he's definitely not a number 1, number 2. I think at best he's really just a good slot receiver. But I think he could excel in the slot. I think in the right team he could excel in the slot. And my first pick would have been New England for him, but I think Green Bay might be a good spot. Again, you put him in that Randall Cobb role, and he might be able to excel there.
Okay. I just want to ask the chat a favor. We're doing our sports show tonight. If we could pull off on all the Disney talk, it kills the algorithm when the whole chat is about Disney and not about sports. And I'm trying to do a sports show. If you guys could help me out, I'd appreciate it. We all love our Disney, and yes, living in Diz and Brandy and Dave are exceptional Disney channels, and they do a lot of great Disney content. And we do it all as well here, but I know just from watching it, the algorithm does it. So it's hard because I like talking Disney too, and I'd like to go buy some mugs myself as well. But we can't do that. Joe, you do me a favor. Talk me about what do you think? Does Watkins do anything?
Well, listen. I mean, the reality is, yes, he's going to Green Bay, and yes, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to throw him the ball at some point. I think he's going to do as well as he possibly could, pretty much anywhere he goes. And Gene's right. If he went to New England, maybe, but obviously, I'm not going to compare Rodgers to their QB. There's just not a thing. And yes, he's not going to be number one in Green Bay, but he'll probably be a nice number 3, especially a relief valve. He's still, and as Dave said, I don't know how much of a step he's lost, but he can still move. As much as I watched him in KC and stuff, he can still move. So, obviously he's not going to be using his potential in Baltimore. At least that's just not the offensive style they run, really. So, I think in Green Bay, he's probably going to make a decent impact. Is he going to replace Devontae Adams? No, of course not. That guy's like ridiculous elite. But I think he'll do well there. I mean, he still can play. There's no question about that. And I agree with you. I don't think he's ever reached his full potential. But I think like I said, I think he'll do about as well as he possibly could, just because of the quarterback he's, that's throwing him the ball.
Okay. Corey, everybody likes him going to Green Bay. You know a little bit about receivers and how to put up points because you've done very well with them in fantasy. Is Watkins making a big impact over there?
I think there's some potential for him to make some impact, but I don't think you'll see. I mean, if you asked for a prediction, I think a good best for him could be 6, maybe 7 touchdowns. I'm all about guys who can stay healthy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Sammy doesn't usually make it through a complete season without having some time missed.
He's had
true. And I think at this point I think we try to think, and from a fantasy standpoint, you think Sammy Watkins. We all want to remember Sammy Watkins as a rookie. Sammy, you always expect more from him, and we never get it. So I'm not super excited about that, but I would say that if I need to fill a roster spot in the fantasy draft, then I wouldn't mind having him sit there at number 4 would be great. Yeah. Number 4 would be great is my 4th wide receiver.
I want to remember Sammy when he was getting the ball chucked to him from that Deshaun Watson kid back in Clemson. That's what I want. He has potential, and I'm with you. If you could scoop him up in a fantasy draft, especially, I think it's going to end up being a PPR type situation where if you get a half or a full point PPR and you're getting 700, 800 yards out of this kid, and I mean, you can't predict touchdowns, right? Like he might get 4, he might get 9. Right. I think he would be that great utility fill-in at a flex, a wide receiver 3 when it comes to that. But on the field, I think he's the kind of dude that a stretch. And I saw someone note that Packers will probably trade up and grab a wide receiver. I don't doubt that. I think they still need a number 1 there. Cobb's not Cobb. You can't have 3 slot wide receivers. You need someone. So they got to make a move. With that said, they also have 3 really good young wide receivers that just haven't had a chance to play. So maybe Cobb and Watkins play that role where they're the stalwarts, or the Edelman, as Gene just said. Dudes get. Let me take a step back. At some point, Sammy Watkins is going to be a holy heck name for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, where the dude wins 3 games for Green Bay.
Okay,
now, granted, in the NFC North, do you really need to win 3 games? We're not. It's not a crazy.
I love it.
Do we think Sammy was limited by production with Mahomes' obsession with
Tyreek?
With Tyreek the Freak, and oh my God, I'm just going so blank right now. And our tight end, the greatest tight end right now.
Kelsey. No, Kelsey. The thing is that there were 5 good options in Kansas City. You had Tyreek and Kelsey. You had whatever running back du jour they had out of the backfield. And you had Chris Conley, who would come in and be like, yeah, I'm going to catch 4 touchdown passes in one game and blow up everyone's DraftKings lineup. Yep. I think that he's going to do better there. But if you look at Green Bay's wide receiver core right now, there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of potential. So
I love it. I love it. Nick M, welcome in. Cricket, thank you for joining us. Christine Hickman, thank you for joining as well. A lot of great info. The guys all agree, and they all have great points with everything they said. Again, the day is pulling everything together. Let's drop down here and talk about this one. Derek Carr has been extended out. He said he would go play golf before he played for another team. He either wanted a contract or he was going to go play golf. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go, Corey. We'll go Corey top to bottom, starting with you. Just your thoughts on Derek Carr, the extension. What's he going to do this year? Just Derek Carr in general from your thought and vantage point.
Derek Carr.
All right.
I love Derek Carr from a fantasy standpoint. Early in his career, I rode that guy for several years. He's always had great potential. He can put up good numbers. I'm really excited for him because you picked the right guy to go to first, because he's being coached by my man, Josh McDaniels. Rest in peace in New England. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But let's see what happens. He can only go up from here. So whatever his numbers have been, I would look for Derek Carr to be better in the next few years. And he's excited. I think the Raiders fans should be excited. And I think it's a good signing, because I would trust Josh McDaniels. Who's better than Josh McDaniels right now? He's probably one of the greatest offensive coordinators of all time. The guy can just craft and just do things. And I think he's going to do the right thing with Derek Carr, and he's got weapons around him. He's got the man. He's got Adams. He's got Devontae Adams now. He's got man, I haven't paid attention to football in a little bit. I know everybody. The slot guy that
he's
emerged.
got weapons all around him. He's got
what's the slot guy? Loved him on my fantasy team this year, but he's got weapons and he's got running backs. It's going to be a fun offense to watch, and I think it's great. I think it's good news for Raiders fans. The Raiders.
Uh-huh. Joey, what's your thought? Is this the car to drive? Is it a Mercedes? What are you thinking?
He's listen, the guy does produce. The guy does produce. I mean, you're talking. He had, a record-breaking year for him. It was over 4,000 yards passing. He was like the fourth. He has like the fourth most passing yards since 2018. So, I think he's worth the price of a good but not elite quarterback. But now you add in, assuming Josh McDaniels is going to run the offense, because we'll see how he does as a head coach. But you got that, and then it's money well spent, in my opinion, especially when you got Devontae Adams with that kind of passing already before he got there. Yeah, he'll probably have another big year. So what's it, 3 years, 121 million? Seems about right. I think it's money well spent.
Enough that he doesn't have to get a part-time job. Gene, what do you think?
Let's not forget. Let's not forget also that Devontae Adams has history with Derek Carr in college.
In college,
and they blew it up together.
Yep, absolutely. Great point, Corey. Gene, what are you thinking? Is Vegas about to explode on the field? What are you thinking?
I think it's a great matchup with him and Devontae Adams. As Corey said, they have that history from college. I know they've been excited to be able to play together. Another ton of other weapons there. The running backs are good. The tight end is one of the best in the league, Waller. And I do agree with Derek Carr being, I think to me, he might be the most underappreciated quarterback in the league. I don't think he's elite, but he's right there knocking on the door. I think he's the most underappreciated quarterback. I don't know if the McDaniels connection is going to be great. I mean, he was in the NFC West. I'm sorry, the AFC West once before, and it didn't really work out with Denver. I don't know if he's going to be the head coach that they need. I think he's a tremendous offensive coordinator in mind. We'll see how he can handle the head job. But I like the contract. I think it's worth it. I think he's the most underappreciated quarterback in the league, and this is a little bit of a bump of respect, and I think he deserves it. And I think he's only going to have a better year this year.
Nice. Dave, I know you'd love to have him in Pittsburgh right about now, but what do you think he's going to do out in Vegas?
Well, he'd be golfing instead of coming to Pittsburgh. What an asinine statement. Any rate, you're not going to go golf. Are you kidding me? Any rate, whatever. I like Derek Carr. I think he has weapons around him. The only person who has more weapons around him and is worse is Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, I said it.
Tua's terrible.
Look. See, I don't think he is, and I will get into that argument later. But look, okay, you got an extension. Cool, great, grand, wonderful. No yelling on the bus, right? Like, Derek Carr has been there before. He's put up numbers. He's put his team in a position to win. If anything is going to affect what happens in not Los Angeles but Las Vegas, It's not going to be Derek Carr, and it's not going to be the weapons around them. It's going to be Josh McDaniels. And that's what it comes down to. Whether or not this team is successful is going to be whether or not Josh McDaniels' second foray in the AFC West as a head coach is an actual thing, or if he's just going to go be the best offensive coordinator in the NFL ever. It's like Bill O'Brien. Like, you don't just
North Turner.
You're not good.
North
Turner. Yeah.
There you go.
Now, we could say the same thing about Andy Reid, but whatever. He has Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, I love it.
He's got a title. I'll tell you what, I like this. What JD just said, Carr would be better on a team like Carolina. Carolina would actually be a tremendous fit for Carr. I think that's good. That's a great point.
Yeah, that's a great point. Nick, save your questions till the end. We'll hit the guys up with questions outside the topic here. Let's drop down and hit this one before we get ready to hit our rapid fire questions of the night. I thought this was kind of neat, everybody. Just kind of want your opinions. We'll go Dave and go up to the top, have Corey end at the end. These are 8 teams that have 2 picks within the first part of the draft between 1 and 32. You see that the Lions have 2, the Jets have 2, the Eagles have 2, the Packers have 2, Texans have 2, Giants have 2 in the top 10, Saints have 2, and the Chiefs have 2, almost back-to-back. They are right there. How much of this is going to make an impact? Because there's a lot of teams, this year that do not have a single pick in that first round, much less have 2 picks in that first round. So, Dave, how much do you think this affects? 1 is my first part, and 2, what team up there do you think gets the most out of it, or multiple teams? Who gets the most out of what they're doing?
Okay, so here's where I'm at. 1, this just goes to show how bad this draft class is. I don't know the history of the trades for these people to get there, but people decided that they are going to, and I know that there's probably more than not that have decided they are going to trade away their first round pick this year for someone else that is in free agency this year. So they went with a proven product as opposed to let's find the new hotness, right?
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Okay.
Of this, it's interesting because you would think that that the Giants at 5 and 7 could grab someone of the likes of 2 things that they need. Everyone's saying Sauce is going at 7, and you can grab an offensive lineman at 5. And if for some unknown reason the top 3 offensive linemen pick go in the top 5, top 4, you're gonna get Hutchinson drop into you, or at least one of the top 2 edge rushers, right? So that helps you defensively, even if you go corner edge rusher, right? So cool, that's fine. Who I think is probably going to do best, the Saints. At 16 and 19, you don't have the pressure of OMG, this is the number 1 in the position. Who is it? There's 3 names. A lot of that stuff's off the board. Decisions are made for you, and you're going to be able to focus on best for team as opposed to there's Hutchinson out there, but we need an offensive lineman. That's what could happen for the Texans at 3, and then that completely dictates who they're going to take at 13. Same with the Jets at 4, same with the Giants at 5. Even though 5 and 7, it's like you're probably getting 2. Well, you're definitely getting 2 of the top 7. So you're fine there. Everything else is a little too spaced out. I guess the other thing would be the Eagles and because they're from Philly. So I would rather say the Saints are going to do better.
All right, let's go Corey next on this. We'll go Corey, Joey, and Gene on this one. Corey, what are you thinking looking at this?
Well, first of all, looking at this, I have to guess that this is a record. This is a record. Like, there could never have been that many teams with multiple picks in the first round. I'm not sure. But with that said, I think that we could look at a record number of teams trading out of the first round with these picks. I think that's what you'll see more of. Just like Dave said, there's not a ton of talent around the draft, and I think some of these teams will drop back, maybe not necessarily to next year, but to next year, maybe more so to next year than this year, or just dropping back, seeing more value in the later rounds.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
Okay, good. That's an excellent point, Corey. Excellent. Joey, what do you
I'm a Bill
think?
Belichick disciple. It's what we do. We just drop back and back and
Lord,
back.
here we go. That's true. Yes, that's all the Patriots have been dropping back for 20 years. Go ahead, Joey. What are you thinking?
Yeah, there's 7 titles. It's probably okay.
So I'm looking. Yeah, Dave's right on that. I'm looking at the top 4 there. You're looking at with the Lions, Texans, Jets, and Giants. Those teams really, as much as you would think they would trade back, those teams right there specifically, they need every pick that they have at the top position because they really need to stock their teams as best they can. So you want to take those players at those spots if you can, unless you can trade back into the first round, still staying in the first round because they said, as everyone has said, there's just not a lot of talent in this. So you got to pick as high as you possibly can. Exactly.
Can I just say that the Steelers may trade up to a 7 to grab a quarterback? Maybe not a 7, but like a 15 or a 16. Like the Saints could get 3 in the first round because someone. Yeah. I mean, after the Haskins thing, Steelers are at quarterback. I said that I want them to go 3 and 14. Might actually happen now. I'll shut up, Joey. I'm sorry.
It's okay, bro. It's okay, bro. Yeah, so I think those 4 need that. But yes, unless you could trade back into the first round to get more, I think you're keeping those picks. The Eagles, is between the Eagles and the Saints, probably do the best, I think. So Saints are pretty smart about it usually. They seem to do better with who they pick. The Eagles sometimes can fumble that. But I think that range that they're in, the 15, 18, 16, 19, which is right in the sweet spot, I think those 2, it's between those 2 that probably will come out the best. And then obviously at the end, the Chiefs and Packers, the Packers need to fill a couple more spots than the Chiefs do. The Chiefs are still in really good spot. They're still a really talented team, and they're still going to be in the hunt. No question at come at the end of the year. So that's how I see it.
Okay. All right. Gino, finish up this topic thought.
Well, yeah, I think there's going to be, like Corey said earlier, I think you're going to see a record number of people trading back. I think the Giants should keep 5 and 7. I think you're going to be able to walk away 2 absolute studs at 5 and 7. So I think the Giants should keep them. I'd love to see the Jets get Sauce at 4 and 10. You know what? Go get me one of these big receivers, man. That's on the block right now. I mean, it's rumored, but it's DK Metcalf, McLaurin, AJ Brown. Go take that number 10 pick and go get me one of those guys. I want a proven commodity. So I think the Jets will trade number 10. I think that's one of the things that they might do is they might trade for a receiver who I think is suited best in this. I love the Saints spot because right there in the middle of the first round, it's easier for a second rounder, the team in the second round to move up. They can move back a little bit more. I feel like they have the most flexibility. Them and the Eagles, I think, have the most flexibility with where they want to go in the draft as far as maneuverability. I think they're positioned perfectly for it. I think the Packers are set pretty well too. I mean, when you're picking late, or when you're the Packers and the Chiefs, and you're already a really, really good team, and you have 2 picks in the first round. I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. They're going to get to plug in some really good players into spots where they're probably already strong anyway. I know the Chiefs could definitely use some help on defense, but I think they're situated well. The only team I don't trust in this is the Lions and the Texans. They're the only 2 teams I really look at it and say, yeah, they got 2 first-round picks, but what are they going to do with them? They're the 2 teams I don't trust.
Interesting. I love all that. You guys are right on par. Hey, Seth Glendon in with us. Seth says, I would love to see the Jets do well, but history shows they will find a way to screw it up. That's true with the way they do things. That's a good point, Seth, as well. So listen, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to get ready. I'm going to do just a couple quick notes. When we come back, I'm going to be ready for chat questions for the guys of the dais. It's a rapid-fire thing. When we come back, I'm going to say go, and I want you to put your questions into the chat, and we are going to run through them. So get ready as we come back here in just a minute. I want to remind everybody that this Saturday night at 7:30, we're going to do a live broadcast of the New Jersey Generals and Birmingham Stallions. Why? Because I want to see what the heck's going on with the USFL. It's football. It's the middle of spring. I accept and take the challenge. We're going to call the game live here on the channel. Would love for you to come back and hang out with us. Next, 2 weeks from Thursday, we are going to not do the football show. The 28th and 29th, I will be live both nights for 6 hours or so both nights. You'll see many of the faces that have been on the dais stopping in. They have an open invitation to stop in and talk draft coverage with me as long as they want, as much as they want. We're going to watch and react to all the draft, and I can't wait. We will be right here on the chat live doing it. Want to remind everybody we have a Discord available for the channel. It's a giant community chat room. We talk football over there. We talk all sports. We also talk Disney. I do that on this channel as well. We welcome you to join our Discord. One of the moderators will drop the link in for it as well. So let's come in. Let's take some chat questions. Take some chat questions as we go. Go ahead and load them up. And highlight the guys. I think we've had an incredible show tonight with a lot of insight. I think that the dais has brought a lot of great points to it. Definitely an interactive night. Tough night to talk about a lot of picks and stuff. A lot of details to cover. And I think the guys did it exceptionally well. Let's bring up Cricket's question real quick here. And let me drop it down to the bottom of the board so it's a little bit easier to find down here. And Cricket says, hey, if Baker Mayfield sits out this year, will it help or hurt him? Corey, your thoughts. Baker sits out, help or hurt him?
I think sitting out for any player never really helps them. But for Baker, I think Baker needs to stay in the game. He has a lot of, he still has things to prove.
Okay. Good night, Movie Mania Nick. Thank you. Dave, does Baker sit out or does he play?
Baker plays for the Steelers next year.
Oh, I like it. That's a good possibility. Joey, your thoughts, Baker. What's he doing?
Well, first of all, it would hurt him if he sat. And I think he needs to play. Steelers probably would be a good place for him. He has a lot to prove, as was said, and he just hasn't done enough yet.
Okay.
I think. He's got a lot more to prove.
Okay. Gino, your thoughts?
Yeah, he's too young to sit out, man. Like he's got to play. I mean, he's still under contract. I mean, he's not sitting out. He's going to play somewhere. He might be a backup. He might not like his situation, but he'll be in the league next year.
All right, let's keep this going quick. Dave, you threw out Tua's name earlier. Is he the new Tim Tebow?
Absolutely not. Tim Tebow was basically the best quarterback ever to not win a title.
Okay.
No, I'm being sarcastic. He's not though. They're two completely different entities. I know people give Tua a lot of flack. Dude didn't win national championships in college because he was just a good looking dude.
Okay, gotcha.
He's got some talent. He'll be okay. But
okay.
It's
Corey,
been a tough one so far.
Corey from Michael Riley. Who do you think will play wide receiver number 1 for the Patriots this year?
Well, right now, I think the guy with the highest floor is Devontae Parker. I think I'm in the minority in this. I can't get any of my friends to bite on it, but I think this could be a really good shot for Devontae Parker to have his best season. I don't know. Maybe, actually, I don't know what his best numbers were, but I could see Devontae Parker, if stay healthy, with maybe 10 touchdowns.
Okay, interesting. I like
touchdowns it. And be productive for New England. I like the signing. So I think that's your number 1.
I like it. Mouse Talk says, hey, Joey D. Watson, is he going to flourish or flounder in Cleveland?
The problem is nobody seems to flourish in Cleveland. So it's Cleveland. I still think he's an amazing talent, but the team and the organization itself is just dysfunctional. So I don't think he's going to replicate what he did in Texas. Just my opinion.
Okay. Gino, JD Brink wants to know, for the mid-range teams, was quarterback play the problem or was it the O-line play?
I think you always got to look to the quarterback. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that play behind bad lines that could still play quarterback, right?
Yeah.
You need that number 1 guy. You need that ace that's gonna there was years ago where you didn't, right? But now at this day and age, this game that the NFL is now, you need that number 1 quarterback. So I would always say, if the quarterback's not the guy, that's why they're a mid-range team. It's the quarterback.
Okay. Dave, Speakeasy Jim says, who's going to be the best sleeper team?
Ooh.
What do you consider a sleeper team? Like that's the real question. Is
coming from the cellar to the first, maybe
close to it.
Cellar to the first isn't a sleeper team. Jets. Zach Jones.
I like it.
Of course, Gene's gonna like it.
I agree.
Gene just sat up and said, I'm excited about that. I like that answer. Nick M says, hey, Corey, does Brady switch teams after next season and continue playing?
Good question. That almost happened this year twice with strong rumors of him going to the Dolphins, which is a really strong rumor. And of course, there was the rumor coming out of Boston, reported that he would like to play for the 49ers. I think one of those things would have happened, but it didn't because the Bucks made sure it didn't. So I would say it's a high possibility, and you would probably see him. I don't think you'd see him in San Francisco now, because at that point, they're waiting for their young guy to emerge, and yeah. So I'm going to say no. I think I just talked myself out of it. No, Brady retires after this year or plays for the Bucks one more year.
Okay,
Brady's going to play at least 50.
Huh? JD says he retires as a Floridian. I see that. Sonny, welcome in, Sonny. Great to see you here. Sonny says, hey, real quick, my opinion is Brady will have to walk away after this year. I think he will. He just wants to do that. Chef Ricio, welcome in. Chef Ricio's in from Miami. Chef Ricio says, hey, this is the year of Tampa to win the Super Bowl. We'll see as we go through. We've had some great questions there in Rapid Fire. We do Rapid Fire every week. We do Rapid Fire at the end of the show for you to ask your questions to our dais. We ask you to always hang tight with us, stay with us till the end of the show, and have your questions lined up for Rapid Fire segments we go through. Each week I sit and take a look, and I make some notes as we go along. And I'd like to put it out here that this week was another great week of talk and comment. I thought Gene stepped in and jumped in and gave us a race with his another great questionnaire. So I was on board there. Dave's feedback and some of his points of emphasis all the way through were exceptional. Corey jumped in and brought up numbers all the way through, dropping in data and stats like nobody has yet. We appreciate you for doing all the research. But Joey D threw out a bunch of craziness all the way through. I'm giving Joey D the number. Joey D's going up to 2 check marks. He's on the board, leaderboard there. He's got 2 on the board. So we'll give Joey
protest.
Beautiful.
File a protest if you like. Too many.
I'm sure everybody's going to protest.
Giving Joey D the 2 for coming in and jumping in. I appreciate you, Joey D, being in here. But as it is my game show, and I can do what I want, right? Because in a direct thing, all of the check marks, in a sense, it's kind of like that game show where they did the what was it? The thing where they did the improv and everything, and they gave out
it was whose line? Where the
whose line is it anyway? The numbers in a big picture are just out of whack. I am giving David a second mark tonight because at the last minute, he jumped in here 5 minutes before showtime.
That's true.
5 minutes before showtime, Dole Whip Dad had a family emergency that he had to handle, and Dave came on knowing nothing about what we were doing. So
good job.
That.
Good job, Dave.
Thank God for the internet.
Thank God for the internet. I gotta be honest. Though I want to give some props tonight too. Limited Diz, Corey. When we have people come in and prepare for the show, I gotta be honest. No disrespect to anybody else. My man Corey sat and went through game film to prepare for tonight.
I did.
And that is, so I'm giving you one as well. You'll be on the board next week with your logo and a check mark next to you for doing that.
There you go.
Gene, we're going to get you one soon. You get a check mark every week because you make the show better. I love the Audible. I think it's a great thing that we started up. It was Gene's idea when we first started saying, hey, what could we do? And we came up with some great ideas trying to bring it in. I think it brings a lot to it. So I want to take a check
mark, but it's negated by the fact that he's a Jets fan.
We're not doing that. Brian Singer, thank you for coming in. It says good show. If you're brand new to us, first off, if you're brand new to me, we do this show every Thursday night, with the exception of draft pick night, where we go to talk NFL all the way through to the start of the season. When the season starts, everybody that's been on the dais will have an open invitation to come in with me on a 45-minute show. Each week we'll get fill the house up, where we will talk about that weekend in football coming up. Will be your pre-build show 45 minutes before the Thursday night game. That's what we're going to do during the season this year. I think that'll be incredible to have some of these guys talking about their football knowledge. However, we always finish out the show doing the right thing. Let's start at the top. Joey D, he's a Niner fan, JSA Creations. Tell everybody you got your social media, where they can find you, what you got going on. Moderators drop their links as they do it, please.
Okay. As you so much pointed out in the beginning, I will definitely have to update my YouTube channel and get that kind of on track. Yeah, you can find me at the JSA Creations, as you see on my logo right there. It's spelled JSA and then CR3D TIONS. It's going to be on Instagram, Etsy, Pinterest, but the store is obviously on Etsy. We make custom Disney ears. Obviously, we're huge Disney fans. We also do some for Universal, and yeah, you can check us out there.
Appreciate you. Definitely check them out. Great ears and everything over there. Give you a hard time about your channel because you and your wife put out some great stuff over there on Instagram. And I think if you threw it out on YouTube, people would love it just as much. David, Brandy, and Dave, one half of Brandy and Dave. What do you got going on with all your stuff? You're all over the place with social.
I'm definitely the not better half, so the worse half of Brandy and Dave. But you still let me come on the show, Pete, so I appreciate that. Thank you again for the invite, as always. Brandy and Dave on the good old YouTube and everything else. TikTok, Instagram, not really face page. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What else? That's pretty much all we concentrate on.
Mhm.
Oh, Twitter. The Twitters. Yes, the Twitter. Now that Elon Musk is going to buy it, we're going to do all kinds of Twitterness. Plus, BJux Boutique. That is Brandy's women's clothing boutique. Facebook group, facebook.com/BJux Boutique, or search it on Facebook. Go from there. Also on your phone in the App Store, BJux Boutique is an app. Women's clothing. Good stuff. Fun things. All that, right? And I would be remiss to not mention Dis and That on Wednesday night. Dis and That Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and the TikTok. Kind of pushing that relatively hard at this point. We talk Disney. It's irreverent Disney. We're kind of funny, and we make fun of Steve.
I love it. Yeah, and that's a fun thing to do. I should also point out before I go to Corey that one of the things that I am changing, I started working on it today, was, minivans. I started working on today, and I'll have that updated, is over on the Facebook, or Facebook, over on my website, on our website for the Pete McDevitt Show, all of the people on our dais, Living in Diz, Gene, Dave, Jeff, Joey, Kelly, every Mouse Talk, everybody that's been on Diz Our Dream, all of their channel information is there. A direct link to their YouTube page is there. And I'm also changing the body and description of the videos that we're doing for the channel. Even though you're not on the dais every week, your channel name and your link to your channel will be in the description of every video we're doing this year for the NFL Inside the Huddle. As a thank you for being here with us. Corey, you guys are going live from the parks, doing all kind of soft strolls and beautiful streams. Tell everybody about everything over on Living in Diz, growing your channel. Love it.
Yes, sir. Doing everything we can to move this channel forward. We are live from Disney parks, Disney property, every Tuesday, every Saturday, and every other Friday typically. I go solo right now during the week because the kids are in school, but our biggest stream, I feel, is Saturdays. We stream in the 3 o'clock hour, and we will close the park out, whether it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. It's the entire family. We're doing it like no other YouTube family is. The kids are so involved as well, and just the chemistry my wife and I have together. You know, people really enjoy watching that. And when Jillian takes the camera, she just takes over. She's the boss. So, yeah, and we're just trying to get the most out of the parks we can. We're making sure we're eating as much food as I can fit in my mouth in a 3-hour stream on a Tuesday night, hitting all the food booths over at Epcot and all that good stuff. We're known for closing out the parks. We do a World Showcase walkthrough from Epcot, and we develop this fun thing that people are really enjoying and people really want to get into it, which is we're giving out these pins now every time we end a stream at Epcot. Let's see if I can
move it over. There you go, right there.
We've got pins that we are happy to send out free of charge. And the way to earn that is if you just do the slow World Showcase walkthrough with me, which is after Harmonious. We head right to Norway, and we just, as the park empties out, we take a slow, quiet, intimate look at each and every country. And it's really popular. It's really popular. People love it. So we came up with that idea. And other than that, yeah, just trying to be live as much as we can at the parks and grow the channel. And also check out livingindiz.com. It's a one-stop shop for everything Living in Diz. Everything is there, built by me. and I'm really proud of that, and just really trying to drive traffic to livingindiz.com as well.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. Welcome in, Gabrielle. Wouldn't want to miss you out. And also, Brandon, I believe you were here earlier. Just want to acknowledge both you and here. Gene, talk about everything you got going. You're killing it over on Instagram. I know you're doing some stuff, working in the Disney social media community and all kind of stuff going on in your life. And you got the Jets drafting 19 people in the first 2 rounds. What do you got going over there, Gene?
Well, let me just say before we get out of here too, the day is today is fantastic. Corey, I love it, you guys. Your family is fantastic streaming, man. You guys are excellent. Dave, I've told you before, I think you're one of the funniest people on YouTube, man. I love it. And Joey's my brother, man. We go back so far. Best years in the business. Yeah, you know what? I'm just started working in the past week with DisneyTips.com. So I'm a writer over there full time. So you can catch me over there doing a bunch of fun articles for them. And catch me on Inside the Huddle every Thursday, man. I have one of my favorite nights of the week, man, is being here with you guys. So there you go.
We appreciate you coming in. I think you said your schedule aligns that we'll be able to join us for the end of the show a little bit more throughout. That'll be a lot of fun as we work and do that. I appreciate all the people that have come onto our dais tonight. Those who have been there before, my partners in crime that I do this with and started this show with, Dole Whip Dad and Myers and the Mouse. Hopefully they will be able to work things back in. This is why, everybody, if you're watching for the first time, we bring in quality people that are football intelligent, like Gene, like Corey, like Dave, like Joey, like Mouse Talk, so that we have people. Jeff Kelly and I started this show together, but what we realized is life has its thing, family has its things. You need to have good people to, one, bring a different taste to the show to make it better, and two, just like tonight, have people there that are at the ready that can jump in and just kill it. I'd like to point out that both Joey and Dave jumped in. Joey, I think I asked you on Tuesday evening to come in for Kelly when he reached out to me. And Dave, I literally asked Dave 10 minutes before the show to jump in, as we did.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Was it 7 p.m.? And then Corey, flying home from work, jumped out of his car and just lit things up in here.
I did.
I did. I truly appreciate it.
I just finished up a 70-minute massage on someone and had to fly home.
Look, hey, somewhere Tina's giggling right now. Look, do me a favor. Check out all the creators. Their links have been in the chat. All of them are featured on my website over there. I continue to update and moderate that. We'll be back here next week. It'll be the last episode before the draft. We'll dig more into the draft next week. And then after that, it'll be draft week. And then we got, good Lord, we're going to have a bunch of stuff to talk about who went where. And Dave can tell everybody why they went there because of their hand size. That's for sure. We'll have him back to do that as well as we do things here. We appreciate everybody coming in tonight. Once again, thank you for joining us. This has been Inside the Huddle. This game is called